And we're live. What's going on, everyone? We are here to do a recap of the Fantasy Football Expo 2022. That was nothing but awesomeness while we were there. It was such a great time. For everybody that went, awesome. It was great. It was great seeing everybody there. For the people that did not go or did not know what's going on, this is just a show real fast to kind of tell you what you missed or what look forward to next year when you show up. So got a couple guests here that were here that I spent a lot of time with over the weekend, maybe a little bit too much time, but let's get them in here. Nate, go ahead.
Hey, what's up, man? Yeah, I do. I think that I, I don't want to say I was a bad influence on you or you were the bad influence on me, but I can tell you that after the tab came, I realized that a lot of that was spent. That the per minute time that we spent added up to a lot. Keith is on vacation currently for the next probably 6 months after this weekend, like he probably did last year. But my car's still packed. I haven't even taken out. We just got done driving here and jumped right out of the car. Told my wife I gotta go hang with John again, and she gave me the debit card because she assumed it was going to cost me another 250.
It's an expensive weekend. I guess that's the only drawback is that you get sucked into the bar, and some of the bars are cheaper than other ones, but some of the bars are expensive. The hotel bar is probably your worst bet for the weekend because it's super expensive. I mean, some people can write off that stuff, company business stuff, whatever, but I just like throwing $100 bills at the bar the whole weekend long and just call it a loss. It is what it is. So it's it's great. Kyle, how about yourself? Kyle's frozen?
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, man. Yeah, Wi-Fi decided to take a dip there for a sec.
Mm. Tell me about yourself. Introduce yourself. How did your tell me about you getting to the expo and stuff like that. Where you coming from? All that
Yeah,
jazz.
yep. It was definitely a good time. I'd gone last year, and with last year just being just the event Saturday night, and then the expo, obviously on Sunday. Last year we weren't able to make it out any earlier than just Saturday, Sunday. So last year we were outside Chicago, so it's about 6 hour drive. So stop plus stops, and you lose the hour, with the time zone. So we we left at like 4 in the morning last year, and then got there, and in the earlier afternoon, but still, and we had to leave because we had to be back for Monday. So we were in Canton for like less than 24 hours last year. So this year with events on Friday night and then on Saturday and Sunday, we made sure that we were going to get out there and at least spend a couple days hanging out with people and everything. So much better trip this year for sure. We got out there Friday, a little bit before the get together Friday night. So, but plenty of time to hang out with everybody. And yeah, like you guys, we found a bar or two along the way. And it was just a good time to reconnect with people that I know, and to meet some new people as well. And, but yeah, as always, excellent, highly recommended. And, you can definitely make it work for however, you're able to make it out there. But I know for me, those extra couple that having that extra day made a big difference.
So there's an itinerary for the expo. I'm going to put it on the YouTube right now, just kind of a show, but the podcast listeners will have to find it on fansfootballexpo.com or fansfootball expo. Look it up on Google, and it gives you an itinerary for how organized this entire weekend is. So it's not like you just show up there and everybody kind of mingles. Sometimes it's go 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 go. Like there's events scheduled every half hour in some of these rooms. There's stuff to do all weekend long that just keeps it super super fun. So like Friday, everybody drove up there. It was a 6 hour drive from Chicago area. So when you pull up there on Friday morning, it's check in. You show up, you check in. You pick up your expo stuff. They give you a swag bag with a bunch of stuff in there: tickets, T-shirts, anything you bought, anything you signed up for. And then there's an icebreaker event where you just kind of intermingle with each other, all that stuff. Then there's a Friday night party, which last year was Saturday night. It worked out much better on Friday night. It's a humongous outside event with a huge TV. The football games were going on. There was local people there with their lawn chairs watching football in this area. There's bars all around you. You could bring your own beer to the event if you want to. It was just an awesome time. I think that first night of intermingling is when everybody's like, oh my God, it's been a year. Holy cow, I waited. Like there's guys who have been on podcasts with each other for 4 or 5 years who never met in person. They show up at the expo and they're like, oh, I mean, there's big hugs. People are taking pictures all over the place. that's the biggest thing. If no, I didn't see that many people on their phones all weekend long, but it was nice. You had to remember to take your phone out of your pocket to take pictures with people. That was the hardest thing to remember, to take pictures with people. It's I saw other people doing it. I'm like, oh shit! I just 10 people walk by. I said hi to 20 people, and I forgot to take pictures with people. That's the hardest thing, is just remembering that, those keepsakes. So, and then the after party ended up going back to the DoubleTree Hotel after that. But what do you guys think about the meet and greet on Friday night?
Kyle, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the coolest thing about it is, I'm been doing this for a while. It's like doing podcast stuff, and I've got to meet some really, really cool people. Like John said, like there are people that even host their shows with co-hosts that they've never met, right? So for me, I've been lucky enough, over the course like that when I've had a co-host, that it was actually a childhood buddy of mine or whatever, and that was always awesome. But I've had so many guests on shows, or made guest appearances on other shows, or connect with people through leagues, getting tied in. And it was really cool to meet those people. But the coolest part, I think, that my friend that went with me last year, he went again this year. He's just an avid fantasy football player, right? So
Kyle froze up a little bit.
Yeah.
I know he's talking about. His friend is a league mate of ours. And go ahead, Kyle. You're back now.
Yeah, sorry, man. I literally just did a podcast. I had no problem, so I don't know what the deal is. But I was just saying, you don't need to be a content creator to have a great time here. And the reason for that is not only because you're around other avid fans, but the people that you recognize, right? That happens to me, right? I see Scott Fish walking by, right? And I could just say, hey, and he is totally just willing to have a conversation with you. Just ask you how, you can say, I told him, I was like, hey, I really like the commish possible pod you do. And, we kind of had a quick back and forth and, that type of thing. Like nobody shows up there and acts like they're too big. Right. I remember I saw, Mike Clay there last year, and you see guys from Yahoo and Roto World there. And it was just, it's just a good experience, because I think everyone comes there knowing that, this is just a good community. And for me, that's just a really, really cool part. Cause unlike John, I'm not somebody that talks to like everyone. Like John's such an outgoing guy, and it's almost fun to just watch him make his ways around the room. I wish I could do that. But like I said, everyone is just pretty open, and you don't really meet anyone that just doesn't want to give you the time. Right. I said hey to people that had no idea who I was, just to say, hey, thanks for this podcast. Right. Because I listened to it a lot, and it made a difference, whether it be, I told that to Ryan McDowell this year because of his Dynasty Blueprint from years ago, which was like the gateway podcast for a lot of people, so
Right.
It was just really, really cool.
I think that I feel like you said that, Kyle. I talked to a lot of people. I'm an outgoing person. Like Bob Lung had to run this whole thing, and he did it with a smile on his face the entire weekend. Like, hey, how you doing? I think 7,000 people walked up and shook his hand. How's it going? Need help in anything? Whatever. No, I'm good. Don't worry about it. Have a good time. Like he's organizing like his 5-year-old kid's birthday party or something. But it's like a 8,000 or 800 people like event. And it's like, holy cow, dude, this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, how about you, Nate?
I agree with a lot with what Kyle said. I think that one of the benefits too is the second year. Last year was, you can cut the people in half that you've never spoken to outside of podcasts or through tweets or just, through another form of communication. But the face-to-face being, it's a little bit different. Last year was, people hadn't been out for a long time with COVID. And so it was kind of an awkward getting, how do I talk to people again? I luckily, like John, I don't have that much. I'll talk to a bunch of people, but I have the best catalyst icebreaker possible is my wife's with me. And she's a superstar. She will talk to anybody, everybody, and every single person. Like you just said, I don't fanboy over a lot of the analysts. I try to just imagine, they're us. There's nothing different. They just have a platform. And so you talk to them like that, and she has no problem butting her way in, and she'll go into the largest gathering of, who's who, and 100%, get in the middle and be the center of attention. And then all I have to do is come over, and she drags me in. And her and John have gotten along, obviously, since last year and this year. And John was with us the majority of the time, but it's as he's walking around saying hi, I'm chasing her around to try to, and then in turn, we meet a lot of people. And I love jerseys. I think that setup is just great. The weather was beautiful, by the way, too. That was probably also one of the nicest things.
It was beautiful, and I think a lot of us ended up at George's, or there's a handful of other. George's is I think everybody's favorite bar because you get like 3 pounds of chicken for about 48 cents. And the beers and the Jameson shots. I think I bought 17 shots of Jameson for like $34. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. This is nuts. So I bought 2 rounds of 17 shots of Jameson for like $32 a piece. It was absolutely nuts. I mean, half the time people are like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. So I end up doing like 3 or 4 of them on every round, but I'm okay with that. It is what it is. But there's a lot of little bars around there that all have specialty stuff. There's a game night. There's a game, a board game place. There's places that have like just music, some kind of, some fun little places if you got time to walk around. A lot of food places, a lot of everything else, so you can feel comfortable. But I think everybody just kind of made their way around the city after the event outside kind of closed, or some people went back to the hotel, or some people did podcasts or started content or stuff like that. But I lived up to every full expectation that I brought to the expo with me to have a good time. So after the night was over with the first night, the meet and greet was over. You had to get up in the morning, pull yourself out of bed, to get in the shower and get ready for the next day. And it's a little easier said than done for some people, but I don't really get hangovers, so it's fine with me. So
You're lucky.
I'm yeah, it was great. So Saturday, the August 13th, they had the Kings Classic drafts, and then College King Classic football draft, the draft night out drafts, which I'm usually like the sticker guy for, but I was talking to other people when I was running late. I forgot what time it started, so I didn't make it. But it's an awesome time. There's draft set up, and these events are at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Like, it's not like in the back of like your local bar or some rundown. You're actually at the Pro Football Hall of Fame doing drafts. And it's absolutely awesome. I mean, you can't ask for a better place to do a draft than there. So this is not just some hotel in the back. It was, I mean, you get in awe walking in that place to begin with. And then were you guys in the drafts?
I was in the Kings Classic,
Okay.
and I can tell you, when you say, is there a better place to draft in the Hall of Fame? The answer might be this year, because it doesn't say on there. On Saturday or on Thursday, they changed it. We didn't draft at the Hall of Fame this year. We drafted at Tom Benson Field in the press box. So up in that second level tier, draft night out was on the level above. Nowhere does it say that they changed it unless you were in the draft. So there was people that were supposed to be going initially, and hell, John, you might have gotten up in time and still might have been at the damn wrong venue, and you might not have even made it. But yes, I had to get up at we had to be there at 9 for it to start at 9:30, and that's something. If people want to go and you want to talk about just get into an opportunity that's great, maybe not to watch me draft necessarily, but considering everybody else is there, it's Bob Harris, Jeff Ratcliffe. I'm going to miss some people's names. I know Scott Ingles in it. I know Howard Bender's in it. I know, Lauren Carpenter, Rob Wozniak, Jeff Manns. And there was 60 total people between the 3 different drafts, or I guess 42, because there were 3 different, there was an auction and a snake for different levels. And so ours was the auction one, but you can come and watch. It's free. You don't have to do anything. You just come, you can watch. Sirius XM does a live show right there as well. You can watch everybody draft, follow along with the boards, kind of see how I'm going to use the term experts loosely just because I was in it. And I don't think that's fair to to throw my name into that circle.
Yeah. Hey, Craig Ruth. Hey, fellas. How you doing? Nice. Craig. Thanks for joining us. Kyle, were you in any of the drafts?
Yeah, I didn't this year, mainly because I had we had a kind of a group of 4 of us that went, and we were hanging out a bunch. And so we kind of kept it pretty loose as far as itinerary. We just kind of played it by ear there. So I didn't get a chance this year, but definitely something that, even if you came with some buddies, that would be a great experience to draft with people that, again, are that into it. We have, like, John does a great job. Like, he's put together some dynasty leagues. I mean, it's just everyone, everybody is like a diehard that's in those things, but not everyone is lucky enough to have those types of leagues, let alone a league that you're drafting in person with, because in-person drafts are the best, right? So, I mean, it makes a hell of a difference. And I'm always surprised by how many people I talk to that are into this, like that I'm in multiple leagues with, or that we're constantly chatting. And they're like, I've never even done a live draft before. Like, I've never done it. And I just tell everyone, like, you have to do this. So this is a great opportunity. So highly recommended. I got to kind of walk through there last year a bit and see things, but to do the draft night out stuff was something that I would recommend, just because of all the people that I know that I'm like, how have you never done a live draft, man? You have to. It's just a game changer, and to do it with people that are really that into it is makes it even better, right? I mean, it's always great, pounding your coworkers in fantasy football, but to win the league when it's like, man, I'm actually playing against 11 other people that are just as into this as I am. I mean, that's when it's really rewarding. And so you want to get in those types of leagues, and it's a great opportunity. So we did take advantage of enough, I think, maybe of some of those things in hindsight, but we kind of kept it loose and, found a local brewery, went to, hung out. We caught the Bears preseason game down there, and hit up the Hall of Fame because a few of the guys had never been there. But highly recommended to have that opportunity to draft live with other fanatics like that is highly, something that everyone should be doing.
Yeah, I had that concoction of a peanut butter beer and a banana beer, and I mixed them both together, and it tasted absolutely awesome. I was giving Coach Bruce and a handful of other people like the recommendation. They went there and tried it, and like, this is awesome. You did a great job. This is, thanks for finding that for us.
The bartender at it was, the brewery's called Fatheads, and it was really good beer, local, and I saw McGlynn with his concoction, and even the bartender, she even poured herself a sample. She was like, "Oh, this is really good," and that was really cool. So that place was really awesome. Actually, I know I saw some other people there when we were there, and that was right over towards the Hall of Fame. I think, John, you said it was like almost walking distance from the hotel you were at.
Yeah.
But right there by the Hall of Fame. So yeah, it was that was, you can always find good spots wherever you go, but that one was definitely worth swinging by.
Yeah, so we get done drafting, and all these drafts are over with, and there's floors and floors of everybody intermingling, seeing all the stuff around the campus of the Pro Football Hall of Fame stuff. There's a high school on that campus. That's crazy, isn't it? I was like, can you imagine going to high school here and your home field is a Pro Football Hall of Fame football field? Like, that would be cool. But after that, speaking of that, they have a flag football tournament. Anybody could join that. I think there was 16 teams that played in there, and there was 8 people on a team, and you had like a quarterback and 4 starters, and it was a big bracket. Everybody played against each other. When this thing started, there was a team out there. It was Ray Garvin's team, the Rotoviz guys, and they came out. Like, it looked like a professional soccer team. They had these jerseys on. I mean, it was like these guys, and they're throwing the ball. Everybody on there was like fresh out of college athletes. I'm like, nobody is touching these guys. Like, they're throwing 65-yard bombs over and over again in practice. Like, what, you expecting like a guy like me to cover something like that? Like, I'm gonna play a defense, and I'm gonna die of a heart attack from running, and then that's it. So I don't know what's gonna happen in this game, but there was this awesome flag football tournament, and it went on for a little while, and there was quarterback events going on. It's $20 for the charity, or $10 for charity for other things going on too. You always stayed busy. That was while you're at the field. So did you guys watch those games too? You didn't play in anyone. Neither one of you guys played, right?
No, not this time around. I don't know if they had the flag football last year, but it looked pretty. It was definitely successful for as far as getting that many teams put together. We did check it out for a bit, and just the fact to be able to be on that field was cool. I mean, I walked down there afterwards, and people were just tossing the ball around even, and I'm just like, and that was towards the night, so like the lights are on, and it was just like, man, this is just crazy, to have that chance. But yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun. You could tell everybody was having a good time. I was definitely jealous that I didn't take advantage of that too.
Yeah, it was cool. And when the flag football games were over with, you just walk over to on the other side of the football field, and there was a humongous section of it's the setup with pop and water and beer and food and stuff all over the place. Concession stands inside the stadium were open. It was it was again another big meet and greet for all the people you didn't meet on Friday or who showed up Saturday morning. Mm-hmm. It was just an awesome day again, meeting everybody. I mean, it was funny because I heard there's English accents, there's Irish accents, there's people from all over the world. Australian people were there. Like, it wasn't just like people from around here. It was the entire world that plays fantasy football. And there was people from every continent, like in at this event. It was absolutely amazing that it's drawing this much attention. It's getting drawn. And I hope this is a podcast like this where people talk about what happened. That's kind of the reason for it. So people aren't intimidated to go, or I don't fit in there. Everybody fits in there. Half the people there have never heard of me before. They don't know what I look like. Oh, thanks a lot. Look you up. They follow you. You follow each other back on Twitter. You start interacting with people. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what it's all about. So
John was my sticker sticker B, I think. I don't know how we're supposed to say how you say it, in the draft night out last year. And, we were just hanging out and having some Jameson and ginger ales together and talking. And then, our degenerate gambling ways. And then it just led to communication. And then it turned into, again, like I said, it was easier to go up and talk to it. You see the people that you saw last year. So that's the rekindling of everything. And then mingle with the others that you haven't, like you and I didn't even meet Kyle there. And so now we have this, and next year we know we'll both be there, and we'll have that opportunity to be one more person to see. And then hopefully the thing continues to grow, but it's just, it's not overwhelming. I don't think, feel like everybody's so accessible and so easy, and we all share the same passion. It's not like this is just an event you're going to walk to and, oh, what are your hobbies? Oh, that's cool. Mine's fantasy football. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. You don't like it. Got it. Nope. What's your hobby? Fantasy football. Everybody, is there. Some people's job.
So then we get down to nitty gritty. We had a great day of all the events, all the meet and greet again, all the food, all the laughs, all the good stuff. Now everybody's got a pretty good grasp on each other. You've had 2 days to intermingle, meet new friends. Everybody's comfortable with each other. And then Sunday comes along, and there's the actual DoubleTree Hotel has multiple rooms inside there. There's big rooms, there's small rooms, so in the one room itself, the main stage room, at 10 o'clock in the morning, the event starts. It's there's discussion topics. There's pregame, a medical panel, a title sponsor, expert mock draft, redraft strategies. So that's just in the one main stage room. The breakout stage room had dynasty strategies, getting started by the football guys. So these aren't FSWA did the pregame, medical panel by the fantasy doctors. The title sponsor was by NBC Sports Edge. Expert mock draft was by Fantrax. The redraft strategies by Belly Up Sports. It's not like just me or you telling people what to do. It's professionals doing this stuff. The breakout stage had the Dynasty strategies was by Dynasty Nerds, which is a really good site. The getting started was football guys, how to get started. Auction strategies by the auction, the auction brief. IDP, the IDP guys who actually specialize in IDP, independent, individual defensive players is what IDP does, in case nobody knew that. But sports betting by Sports Betting Podcast Network. My roommate was Connor Allen. He was on the panel for that. He does the gambling stuff for 4 for 4. So it was, 4 for 4 is a very reputable site. And then the other breakout room is the women in fantasy football. So there was a whole panel, a whole room filled. It was filled to capacity for all the women in fantasy sports. It wasn't just women listening to women do stuff. It was everybody listening to how awesome it is for the women joining this community and doing stuff for fantasy football, because it brings a different aspect to fantasy football when you hear from people who want to play, have a different us than just like that, man, we played football mentality kind of stuff. It is nice to hear that kind of stuff. And then there's a launch fantasy football website, how to do website by Roster Design. New podcast game, All 22, which we went and talked to the All 22 guys about how they have offensive linemen, they have defensive linemen, they have, you can put anything on there, punters, kickers, you name it, like everything on the site. So it's like an ESPN or a Sleeper or a MFL or Yahoo, but like a bigger version of that. It goes way deeper. Then there's a new podcast demo, Charlie's Huddle. Empire Fantasy had a podcast or a product demo. Goat Fantasy had a product demo. Dynasty Tools demo. From Dynasty Nerds again. And then these are 4 different sections in different rooms. There's FTN data, sponsored by the FTN network. The best ball strategies. If you're looking to get into best ball, you're not really sure what it was. There was Fantasy Football Expo had that themselves sponsored a best ball strategy thing. A new product demo by Super Fan Parks. Prop bets from Fantasy Football Expo. Dynasty Game Night, which I attended at some of these. Dynasty Game Night was the most fun by far. They had people playing games against each other. They have their own, DLF has their own site, and they had the Dynasty Game Night in there. High stakes from FFWC. If you want to start a Devy League, which is, college players, high school players, it's going down a rabbit hole of stuff that I just got into right now, Campus Canton leagues. So you guys are probably in all these leagues already, but if you don't know, or if you've only played redraft before, or don't know what best ball is, or any kind of the gambling stuff like that, there's a room for you to do everything you could possibly imagine. So you could feel like, oh, ask the questions. This is what they're there for. And it's it was an absolute excellent time doing that. What do you guys think about that stuff? All those rooms.
So if you don't mind, Kyle,
Yeah, do it.
Go ahead, Nate. I should
No. Trust me, because mine was chaos. Because at 10, when it started, we had a booth down in, and first of all, last year it was on the main floor and it was wide open and there weren't as many booths and it was climate controlled, or in other words, air conditioned. And it was just there. They had a wedding, so they moved all the panels and stuff down to the basement. Well, I wake up to Saturday night, might have been another one of those longer evenings, and I get pounding on my door at 10:15 from one of the other guys. By the way, I work for fantasyandframes.com. That's our website. We do redraft, IDP. We do a little bit of everything. And our booth is the third booth in. So as soon as you walk in, we got the main thoroughfare and I'm not there. It's 10:15. It started at 10. So it's the other guy saying, "Are you coming?" So I don't even shower. I'm sweating from being hungover. John doesn't get hangovers. I pick up the ones that he should have probably.
Yeah, but I sweat.
Oh, I definitely, yeah. Well, I think we all sweating. And so I'm running downstairs. Jorge Edwards is the guy who runs Fantasy and Frames and went out and got us all shirts to wear. Well, the shirts aren't like the shirts that probably we're all wearing right now, which is kind of a thin material, breathable, nice. This is a 3-inch thick cotton shirt. I'm pretty sure that is hot as can be. You're sweating. I can't find the booths. I run downstairs. I didn't have to set up before, and there's nobody set up. I'm blowing his phone up. I can't find where we're supposed to go. Finally, I go into the bar area, and that's where the sign is that says panel, booths downstairs, not facing the entrance or the hotel room. So I finally run down there, and I hit the wall downstairs of heat, and it's every bit of 80 degrees. And I'm like, oh no, this ain't gonna be good.
80.
I'm over 80. Yeah, 80 seems like it may be generous. It was hot. It was really hot. I watched people came to our booth, and there were some bigger guys that were like, "Hey, can I have that shirt?" And we were giving away. We had a couple giveaway shirts, and they were all like XLs or 2XLs, and they just had sweat and it was drenched, and they had to leave. People had to leave and go to the room to change and come back. But overall, it was wonderful. I mean, we had great giveaways. We had a ton of booth business, which I thought was amazing. The problem is those hallways weren't real wide either. It was pretty narrow, so people are sweating trying to sign up, and then got to get through, and you just felt rushed a little bit. It's nothing bad. It's not a negative. It's just there's that many people there, which is a positive. You're gonna make the most out of it. But the side panel they were great. We hosted so you said the IDP side panel with the IDP guys, and it was Fantasy and Frames. It was us and them. So we both co-hosted it, but Bob didn't put it on the sheet. And so that was that was at 2:30 to 3:30. So I knew I had to be there. Well, Bob comes over and asks, and reminds me that I'm on the expert mock at 1:30 as well. So now I'm at 1:30 upstairs with those guys in the main stage doing the mock draft. It's Howard and Denny Carter and Lauren and Kevin Tompkins, etc. And at 2:30, I'm getting blown up because our panel's starting, the IDP panel, and I'm hosting it. And I'm still in the mock draft up on stage picking. And I have to tell Bob I have to leave. So I have to peace out. And I tell everybody, I was like, you know what? I was like, I've got to go do this IDP thing. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave. Luckily, they didn't pick any. They only had one more pick left. But so I double booked myself. I was late for the booth. It was chaos, brother.
It was fun. Like, it was fun seeing everybody kind of rush around, but it's better. There was no standing around. Like, you always had something to do.
Yeah.
That is the only thing that was great about it. And you can get up and leave whenever you wanted to on most of the events, minus if you sign up for a draft or if you got pulled away. But you are the exception to the rule probably for most of the people. But everybody else had plenty of time to draft, had plenty of time to do the events, had plenty of time to go in and out of all these rooms. But what do you think about it, Kyle?
Yeah, it was funny because you mentioned like the downstairs, and it was warm. Like I'm usually running warm all the time. Like, so we were down there, and I noticed it right away too. And it was funny because I bumped into John, and
you got wet.
I smacked him on the back. Like, I was like, "Hey man, how's it going? We survived the evening because we were out pretty late, closing down some bars, and so I know he didn't get it, back to his hotel room till 2:30, 3 o'clock, and he's there. So I'm like, yeah, Well, as soon as I hit him, I was like, dang, he is soaked. I'm like, shoot. And then my other buddy that was with me, we were roommates, and I was like, man, is it warm down here? And I look over, and he is just like dripping, like, because he's a big dude too, and he was just like, I'm warm. I'm like, he's like, let's go. And yeah, so that was just funny. I don't know if anyone expected that because I think if anyone would have, there definitely would have been like booths with like fans or like get about water, and everyone would have been at those booths. That would have been a great little marketing ploy. But honestly, that's one of my favorite things to do is wander like all the booths that were there this year were almost twice as much as last year. Probably there was a lot more. There were a lot more things there, things I'd never heard of, and not everybody is interested in all this stuff, right? But as far as like, there were things that I kind of checked out, things that like, it's not really my thing or whatever. But talked to some really cool people. I talked to the All 22. That was interesting. Their new product that they're releasing this year. I talked to another website that was like a salary cap type league, which is something that I really like. The like Reality Sports Online is like kind of a fairly popular thing. This was something kind of similar but different that uses like NFL salaries. That was kind of cool. So like I've found new things just by wandering around here, and whether you kind of like really stop by and chat with those people, or you just grab it and check it out later. It's just a great way to kind of see everything without having to like just stumble upon it, on Twitter or whatever. And we had to leave a little bit earlier on Sunday. So went to a couple panels, but and I hadn't checked it out yet because obviously Expo just finished yesterday. But they were saying that they're going to have these things like recorded where you get access to if you were at the Expo and check it out later. So hopefully that'll be the case. Can't speak to it yet, but I'll be on the lookout for that, because there were some things I was like, man, I won't be here, late into Sunday or later into Sunday afternoon. So I wasn't able to catch everything, but yeah, it was really awesome. It definitely was, the kind of the who's who when you look at some of the names on there, and even some of the guys like the IDP stuff, like something that I always joke around that for me, like IDP is how I feel like a normal person feels about fantasy football. Like, like I just play because I just like want to know players like on the other side of the ball. I'm not like really that good at it or informed right yet, but so like stuff like that, to hear all these other topics was cool to see, and kind of check out a lot of those recordings if they're there. But it's just it just blows you away how much stuff they had, because the booths, like I said, were about at least probably double what they had last year.
Yeah, there was probably 30 some booths, right? I mean, and every one of them was Trophy Smack, which makes trophies for, for belts or for this and that, fantasy and frames, like all these awesome sites, all these awesome, like, website designers, people that do podcasts and shows that also have their own, their own websites, their own rankings, their own everything. It was kind of showing their products out there. A handful of people started their own, like app or site itself, showing you how to download it, like that All 22. And it's you get just when you think you know a lot of stuff about what's going on in fantasy football, there was probably 7 or 8 booths there I've never even heard of before or saw anywhere that were things I was interested in. And I thought I've been on every site known to man, and it was super nice. So what else? And then after that, walking around, seeing all the booths, doing the drafts in the morning, all that stuff like that. There was everybody just kind of settles down, hits the bar for a little bit, and then we went to this karaoke bar at night. It's called Jose's Landing, I think is the name of the place. It's like, but a mile or 2 miles away, and everybody goes there to kind of like let off steam. The end of the weekend, kind of like, yes, we had a great weekend. Let's just say, and it ends up being just an awesome time. Last year was on Saturday night, so there was a lot more people there, but it was like shoulder to shoulder. This year it's on Sunday, so it was like half the people, but it was a lot more interacting. I was able to talk to Ian Harditz, who followed me today. I was like, hey,
Hey, nice.
This is awesome. So a lot of people, there's a handful of people from Chicago there that are in my home leagues too. I was able to talk to them. It was a great experience across the whole weekend. What was your favorite part of the weekend, Nate?
Probably, honestly, I think jerseys is my favorite part, but the I guess the Kings Classic was probably the best part, at least for to do something that I had wanted to do and is so honored to be part of. It was humbling, just to be in the room with those people and to be accepted. Maybe that was just because I was shark bait, and that was that's why it's so accepting. But at the same time, I just hate. I had so much fun at Jersey's that night when we went down, just because it is literally just walking around that whole complex and stopping into and mingling with group of 4 here, a group of 5 here, and then just doing that for me. And I'm a partier, so I enjoyed that a little bit. But it is a fantasy football expo, and so being part of that Kings Classic was definitely, I think, the highlight of my weekend.
Awesome. Kyle, what was your favorite part?
Yeah, I mean and like all the booths and stuff and the breakouts, are definitely worth going for. And it's kind of funny because like the expo like is really like that Sunday, that's the actual like expo part, right? But they do such a good job with the other kind of like icebreaker event and things like that. For me, the Friday night thing, which was Saturday last year, was at that little park area. John described it really well, and that's where Jersey's was near to. And like the thing that's just so funny to me was like when you're walking around, have you ever been to things like that in other places? Like I've been to stuff for work or whatever, and it's like people kind of stand in their little group and they're like a little tiny circle, and like they just all. It's almost weird because that happens, right? People know their friends and all that, but like it never feels like closed. Like you cannot. It kind of feels like everyone always stands like with an opening where anyone can kind of like just jump in there and jump in that conversation, which was really cool. And so that little place is great. It's perfect for this type of thing. And John mentioned George's, which was like a running joke. Like we found that place last year, just this little dive. It's definitely my favorite place about like Canton Lake to go because it's super cheap. But the cool thing about that bar is like it's like a U-shaped bar. It's like super old school thing. Like there's not a TV in there. People are like not on their phones or whatever. Like everyone's just kind of talking to everybody. And like Saturday night, a lot of people ended up there like late. And because it's open till 2 and you get food there, which is a little
2:30.
But yeah, so 2:30. So like when we walked back in there, we kind of bar hopped on Saturday night and we got back there around 1. And it was tons of people in there for the expo. And again, everyone's just kind of hanging out and chatting. And it's not usually like around here, you go to any bar and there's just like, you're always kind of, everyone's like, I don't know, focused on everything but interacting with the people they're there with. And like for us, like not only could you're hanging out with your friends, but like then the groups kind of start merging together and all that. And before like the whole bar is talking, together. And that was just a really good time. So I think just the camaraderie and ability to kind of just hang out with people and in such just a way that you don't feel pressure, to have to be somebody you're not, but also like be afraid, like I can't talk to that person. Like I think Nate said it best. Like I try to approach it when I see somebody like I know them. Like I don't get fanboy, but also it helps because they are not acting like, well, I'm, look at me, I work here, or I do this, they just act like, hey, we're all, just passionate about fantasy football and love having these debates and arguments over the players and strategies and all that. And it's just really cool to see. And it's one of the few times if you're super into it, like we are, like you can sit there and be like, yeah, I'm in 23 leagues, and everyone like, oh yeah, that's it. I said to somebody at work, and they look at me cross-eyed for like 3 weeks. So it was definitely I just think the interaction with people is my favorite part, and that you can kind of just play, it's just loose.
I think my favorite part of the whole weekend was I don't think I saw anybody's phones in their hand, except when they were trying to exchange Twitter handles.
Mm-hmm.
Or stuff like that. It was no politics. There was no nothing. It was really. I don't think I talked about fantasy football for more than like 30 seconds with anybody at a time. Everything else was about how's the home life, what's going on, what do you do for a living? It was just easy conversation across the board, and it's almost like we all lived in the same area, and it was like being like in a big home league is what it was, and that's the feel of it all. That was my favorite part, just meeting so many new people. That was by far my favorite part. So,
there's concern that people have about this, in that I heard a lot of complaining that Canton doesn't offer anything. There's nothing to do there. You're just going to go drink and be at the expo. And I got to tell you, I think that's so far removed. And so if anybody is listening that has a family, like I brought my wife both times, and she likes fantasy football, but she loves, she loves me, supporting me, and she has made so many great friends there over the last two times that's huge for her to be able to do so. Well, when we go, and what we found out is, so we left early. We came in early. We came in on Wednesday, and we stopped in Indianapolis halfway there, went to Colts camp on Thursday. But while being there, she went to, there's a winery 15 minutes away that is gorgeous. And all the girls, the wives that were together, all went together there, hung out there while we all did our drafts on Saturday. They got done at the winery the same time we got done with the draft. So nobody was alone. No one had to feel pressured time wise. And then there's you guys like the movie Shawshank Redemption?
Yeah.
Yep.
The prison where they shot the movie is an hour away, 45 minutes away. And they do tours. We went there on Friday in the morning while everybody was doing the poker tournament and everything. And you get to walk the prison, and they do a guided tour. It's like $30. And so, I mean, again, if you're there for the whole week, it's just one little added piece that's not entirely football for some people that might not want to be as involved as we would want to be.
Yeah, if you are coming from somewhere else, you can make a road trip out of it. First of all, hitting a couple other places on the way there or on the way home, or both for that matter, like you did, and just take advantage of the situation. It's great. It's a great weekend, all around great weekend. And you guys, thanks a lot for kind of getting the word out on, and just kind of saying I wanted a couple different views besides just me sitting here spouting off about what I thought of the weekend. And it was nice to hear your guys, people on the panel, people who had booths, people who were walking around, people went to different places than me, so they can get a couple different perspectives on the weekend. So, Nate, one more time on the way out, you want to just kind of give everybody all your information, what you do, where they can find you at, what's coming down the pipeline?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Easiest way is on Twitter at Nate Markham. Easiest way to find content is at fantasyandframes.com. And again, we have everything from redraft, best ball, IDP, Dynasty, etc. We've got 4 different podcasts that we do on. It's going to soon be all Wednesday night. I host the Shoot the Gap, which is an IDP podcast with excellent other guys, Jorge Edwards, Hollywood Titan, Mike Wohlert, who were stalwarts in the IDP industry. I'm a nothing compared to them, but they let me host and they let me talk, and I let them, give all the information. And then I do the IDP ranking for fantasy and fantasy pros. And as you see, right, that's my goal is to be first this year. And so if you are getting into an IDP league or want to get in one of any of our rankings, you can find it at Fantasy Frames. You can find it at Fantasy Pros.
Kyle?
Yeah, I wanted to add just one quick thing too to what Nate said. Like, yeah, is Canton like a destination place for people? Like, no, but there was plenty to do in the area. We had a conflict that ended up not working out, but like coming from Chicago, our plan originally was to hit up Cedar Point. Is the roller coaster capital in the world is like an hour and a half away and right off of 80. So I mean, there's tons of stuff you can do around there. And my buddy who came with us, we were a group of 4 of us. He doesn't even play fantasy football. Like, he was a football fan. So like he, and he still had a great time. And like, is he like going back to Canton, Ohio, any other by himself? Like, maybe not. But like, he even said like, man, I had a really good time and I don't even play this, nor do I want to play fantasy football. Right. But it's like, it was just cool hanging out with you guys. And it was cool to see, he even made a comment out. It was cool to see like how everybody else, like people just come up to me and like, we're just talking, and it's just because I met them there last year. Right. Or I've talked to them on Twitter. So he just said it was really interesting to see. So even if you're like kind of even on the edge, like, yeah, I'm not in the industry, like it doesn't not matter, so it was really cool. And there's plenty to do around there. You don't maybe not making 2 weeks out of it, but you can make a long weekend out of it and have an awesome time. So, but John, thanks for having me once again, man. Good hanging out with you. You can follow me on Twitter at Kyle Month 8. That's Kyle August. So month 8 at Kyle Month 8. Real creative. But I've been doing the Fantasy Football Smackdown podcast. We're picking that up once again. That's over. You can find it on the Dynasty Warzone feed. The Smackdown is redraft focused. So I really highlight 2022 rankings, been going through my positional previews. Did running backs last week, quarterbacks week before, wide receivers this week. Everyone does positional previews this time of year, but really for me, the reason I still do it is because I try to keep it bite-sized and ready for you guys. So even if you're not an avid redraft player, but just want to kind of a little bit different perspective for players like this year versus like a dynasty outlook, 30-minute shows, like max, like that's it. So quick and easy. I do in-season stuff for on that podcast as well, covering waiver wire stuff. And I always talk about like deep cut guys that like you would never pick up in your Yahoo work league, but that may be available in even some deep dynasty leagues. So I really love doing that show. So you can check that out again on the Dynasty Warzone feed. Just search Dynasty Warzone. And if you check out that Smackdown, there's tons of other great content on that feed as well. So But yeah, it was awesome just to hang out at the expo with you, John. And I didn't get connected, Nate. There's just so many people there, but we'll follow each other on Twitter now. So next year we'll be having a beer or two together.
Yeah, it sounds great. John gets Ian Hartitz and you get me.
Hey, I'm good with that. It's all good, man.
Guys, thank you so much that you made the Commissioner Evaluation podcast. What I want to do. This is my hobby. This is what I do. It's all year round. It's commissioner stuff. Sometimes it's just talking to people, interviewing people about, sometimes about their life, their family life, their social life. And then, generally speaking, on most podcasts, we'll talk about in-season stuff, Dynasty stuff outside of season. Most of the time during the season, we'll evaluate a roster. I'll start doing that pretty soon again. We'll evaluate a roster when it gets closer, when people get down to roster cut times, and kind of say, like, what should you do? Are you close to being, are you close to winning or not? And we'll determine what's the best way. We'll evaluate your roster and kind of say, like, hey, man, you should probably just start trading for draft picks, or you're that close, man. You've made this move and that move. Well, to get this guy or these two guys or improve your tight end position, this is how you could win right now in Dynasty Fantasy Football. So it's all year round. Whenever I get a chance, I got 4 kids, work the messed up schedule, and this is just a hobby for me. I don't get paid from nobody. I do it for fun. So when you guys come on my show, it makes me feel awesome. So thank you very much for being here, guys, and thanks for making the Commissioner Evaluation possible. Another success. Thank you.
Anytime.
Appreciate it, John.